What's up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com. Part 2 of a 3-video series on what, Heather?
Wrestling.
That's right. That's right. My wife, Heather, is here, and we're trying to start this wrestling thing up. We're trying to get people interested. Magic posted a video, cut out of Blinkers Off, and we got some good views on it. And we thought, all right, let's make a few more. Let's get somebody a little bit better looking than Jared here, and maybe people will watch. Now, I think we do have a lot of people interested in wrestling, and so that's why we decided to kind of do a few shows for you, just kind of gauge the interest. And so one video we really wanted to do, because we both, when we got home from Las Vegas over the last week, we said, man, that was a great trip.
After we had a full week to recover.
So what? Yes. So what we did, AEW had 3 shows in the last week in May: Wednesday Night Dynamite, a Friday Night Rampage, and of course their big pay-per-view Double or Nothing on Sunday. Heather and I went to all 3, and we also stayed at the same casino/hotel as all the wrestlers.
Yep, most of them.
So we basically lived an AEW week. I mean, it was an experience. So we thought, let's do a show. Let's cover the 3 events that we went to, and just kind of cover the overall experience. Sound good?
Yeah, I love it.
Well, I mean, where do you start? We get to Vegas on Monday. By Tuesday, we've seen probably 45 wrestlers, right? Yeah. It was wild. First person we see is Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Rosa. We're playing roulette.
Yeah.
And we're playing blackjack. These little automated machines that have the real wheel. So you're like, I at least think I have some control over this.
Right.
And all of a sudden Aaron's like, Heather, I think you might have texted me.
No, I went up to you. Hey, you were like, let's leave. Let's go somewhere else and play somewhere else. And I was like, I think that's Thunder Rosa. I said. And
I looked over and I'm like, oh my gosh. Her face was even half painted. I was like, yes, that's her.
Yeah.
So I go and sit across from her. And I was just kind of like gazing up. We didn't have any of our AEW stuff on, so she wasn't uncomfortable. I never, during this whole trip, I never really wanted to make anybody uncomfortable. I wanted to, it's really weird, creepily stalk them. So if you're not wearing anything AEW and you're behind them on your phone, they don't think that you're actually following them. So, but you are.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing. We left them alone. Like,
yes, absolutely.
We might say hi if they made eye contact with us. That's about it.
Yeah.
We didn't, no selfies,
I didn't even do
autographs.
that. I just put my head down.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, like Fan Fest and stuff, absolutely they're there to meet and greet their fans.
Yeah, sure.
For me personally, and I think Aaron as well, it was like if they're eating dinner, they probably just want to eat dinner. I mean, that's what I would want to do.
Yeah, and that's how we would see them doing that. Eating dinner at the convenience store, getting something to eat, gambling. It's like they don't. I mean, sure, they took as many selfies as you wanted to take with
sure.
you. We saw that.
They were all
awesome.
So amazing. Like people stopped, they would stop. They just had conversations. They would take as many as they needed to, and then they would move on. And it was they were just so accessible. Like they were just walking out through the casino. We saw Cash Wheeler like 300 times. Just look like a regular guy.
Yeah.
That was one of the other things is you really had to like look for them because they blended in with the crowd. Like the only ones that really stood out to me, one Darby, because he's just different. Like he's got his tattoos and his hair and that, but like Wardlow, you could tell Wardlow was somebody. He was huge. Who else?
Powerhouse
Hobbs, yeah.
He was a big
But like Daniel Garcia looked like a normal dude, and Dante that we saw 3 million times. He looked like a regular guy in just their regular street clothes. So it was really cool to see it in that aspect.
It was very cool. So we saw Thunder Rosa, and then we I think it was like we were gonna go up to our room. It was later at night, and like there was a Blade, the Butcher and the Blade. And
where's Bunny?
Fine. Well, we saw Bunny a little later, but
we waited to see her because I wanted to see her.
Well, but we kind of thought, and then like I think we saw Dante Martin, and this was all like we were just naturally going up, and I said, why don't we just hang out here? And we saw just everywhere. But we realized real quick we really didn't have to do that. They were everywhere. Just go to Starbucks. You're going to see him anywhere you go. You're going to see him. Yeah.
Well, and so we stayed at Mandalay Bay, and it was connected to the first arena where Dynamite and Rampage both were. So they had to walk through the casino to get to that. And so they all just stayed there. So there's this like 3-part elevator. It's like, because Mandalay Bay is in like the 3 little wings.
Yeah, 3 towers basically.
And so if you stay there, everybody congregates there to go up to their hotel.
Yeah.
So like that's where you could see them, which was really, really cool.
It
And
was
then
awesome.
walking to the arena, there was a clear path that way past Starbucks where Aaron and I were a lot because we love Starbucks. Anyways, we were like, hey, why not drink, work, and see some of our favorite people.
Exactly. And it was so much fun. And like I said, we left them alone, but it was just kind of fun. And by the end of it, it's like, I bet they know our faces. Because they've seen us so much. And that really wasn't on purpose. It's just like, well, you're in a casino and you stay there, you're going to see people that are staying at the casino. And it happens. We saw 80 wrestlers at this casino.
Aaron ended up going through the roster and counting.
Yeah, we saw 80 in total. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And like I said, I never one time the whole week we were there saw anybody be rude to like any wrestler be rude to a fan.
Nope.
And they
Aubrey was so sweet. She was so sweet to fans. She stopped and she's like, I just really have to go to the bathroom. And she stopped and she took pictures, even though she was probably going to pee her pants soon. Like, she just stopped because they're just so nice.
Yeah, they are very, very good guys.
Yeah.
Wardlow was super nice. He was one of the nicest, I thought. He was awesome.
He was talking to everybody.
Yeah.
Jay Lethal really liked the big wheel. We had this little tiny section that was very, very quiet when we first got there. It started kind of filling up on the weekend where you could play like roulette or blackjack, our 2 favorites. And there was this like big wheel, like it would hit 3, 5, 11, 25.
So Wheel of Death, that's what I called it.
Yes. They were not very nice at all. They were very evil to us.
Well, yeah, I was terrible, but he was having a great time on it, you know?
Oh, he loved it. It was so fun to just watch.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Because whenever we'd go there, we'd see him. And then the big guy.
Satnam Singh.
Satnam Singh,
yeah. He was with him as well.
Jay Lethal's manager.
Sanjay Dutt. Yep. He was there too. And him and Sanjay would get so excited when they would hit something. So
all in line at Starbucks, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
You think about it, it's so weird because, you know, we don't see celebrities around here in Joplin, Missouri, but there it's like, hey, they stand in line like we do. They wait in line like we do.
It was so weird. One day, like Brody King and Buddy Matthews was in line. I was like, wow, 2 of the 3 members of the House of Black, who's supposed to be these scary looking guys, and like
they're getting a nice latte.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what they got.
Right. I felt better because they mostly got iced drinks, and I do as well, and so I always feel kind of weird. So, last thing before we go on to the shows, the big surprise of talking about people we saw. We're walking to Starbucks, believe it or not, and a person walks by, and you're like, oh, I think that's Rhea Ripley.
So she walks by me. She's in like workout gear. It looked like she had just come from the gym, which I didn't know they had until later. And I was like, God, that would have been a perfect place to find people, I'm sure.
Yes.
Although a lot of them went off-site to the bigger places. But she walks by and just she's tiny. So these wrestlers, these lady wrestlers,
they're tiny.
They look so powerful, and they are on TV. But in real life, they're just so lean and slender, and I was like, I don't know if that's her. But I saw her shoulders, sort of like double her waist, because she's got such a good upper body. And so I was like, I think that's her. No makeup, hair forward, not backwards. So I was like, I think that's Rhea Ripley.
And we were like, there's no way it could have been her because she's in the other company. For you guys that maybe don't know, Rhea Ripley is in WWE. This was an AEW show. But so we get on the internet and it's like, okay, if it's her, like, why is she here?
I'm good at investigating, I feel like.
Turns out she's dating an AEW, Buddy Matthews, an AEW guy. And sure enough, we saw them a couple times and it was her. So that was crazy.
It was so cool because she's probably she's one of my favorite female wrestlers.
Yeah.
Overall, like, I love AEW, but she's a female wrestler.
Yeah, like, and you're never gonna hear me hate on any wrestling company, but we don't watch the WWE, and I don't hate them. It is what it is. But
I just never have.
When we do watch it, who do we watch?
Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair.
And Charlotte Flair, that's our 2 favorites.
Who just
Rhea and
married
Charlotte.
Andrade.
Yeah, and so it's weird. Rhea and Charlotte both. Now Charlotte's married to an AEW guy. Rhea is with an AEW guy.
I'm like, pull them over.
I know, that would be great. Anyway, let's get to the shows. Let's get to the shows. That's probably what people want to listen to.
That was so much fun.
It was great.
The accessibility of them by far. Awesome.
It was the best part of the trip, probably. Wednesday. So the Wednesday night Dynamite, the Friday night Rampage. It was held at the Michelob Ultra Arena, which is attached to Mandalay Bay. So like we said, that's why we were having the access with these people.
So
that's how we saw them. Also, the WNBA Las Vegas team plays there, and I never knew that until we got into the stadium, and it's like big banners of the WNBA players. Like, oh, that's cool. Anyway,
I didn't know that either.
had good seats for this one. We were about 10 rows off the floor. We didn't go on the floor. She's a little short.
I'm really short. Yeah. I'm only 5'3".
We were afraid she couldn't see. So we got off the floor about 10 rows, almost center ring, a little bit to the left. But it was really good seat. Man, it felt a lot like an old WCW house show. The building was about the same size, about as many people that were at those. And the first match is Wardlow, Shawn Spears in a cage. MJF is the ref. The cage starts coming down from the ceiling. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to start with this?
Well, at first Aaron's like, oh, they're just testing it to make sure that it's coming down.
I thought they would start with a cage match. But
right.
Yeah.
And they did. And it was awesome. And then Wardlow starts climbing up on the cage. And I'm like, please. I mean, this is the weekend of the Owen Hart tournament. I'm like, don't fall, please. Like,
so this is the difference when you're in your late 30s versus when you're in your 20s or even, a teenager. He starts going up on that cage. 20-year-old me would be like losing his mind, cheering, going crazy.
Most of the people were.
Like 99% of the people were. 38-year-old us was like, oh God, you got your whole career in front of you. Don't fall off that cage.
And 38-year-old Heather, who is also, I'm in a company that does intraoperative neuromonitoring, so we do a lot of spine cases and stuff. I see a lot of really bad shit, people falling off of actual ladders when they're painting or roofing and all of that kind of stuff. And so all of that, I'm always so very nervous about them I'm like, they're hurt. They're really hurt. And everyone's like, no, they're not really hurt. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're really hurt. So I always am very much like, if I know nobody's hurt during the match, I have much better time watching it. Like, oh man, I'd probably do better watching it after the fact.
That idiot is up on that cage and he stopped holding
on and he's like
screaming and back. No, these cages, it's not a very wide thing you could see. Yeah, and it was a cool, like one of the coolest moments ever. Like he's up on this cage. And this is a mammoth individual, right? I mean, we saw this guy. You said they all blended. The most of them blended in. This guy did not blend in. He's a mammoth, and he's out there. He's yelling and he's screaming at everybody, and he's pointing to MJF, who's already ran up the ramp. And all I'm thinking is just like, please don't fall off that cage. You got the biggest match of your life coming up Sunday. Don't fall off this cage. Anyway, he didn't. It was great.
It was a lot more fun to watch it again over.
Once he got off the cage and got in the ring, and I knew he was fine, it was like, oh man, that was cool. That was so cool. What a moment that was, And that thing, if you're on television, you're watching, and it's like, oh, you're not even thinking about that. Mm-hmm. But we visibly saw him, and he was like, his feet are massive, and it's a little chain link thing, and he's trying to get down off that thing. They didn't show any of that on TV, I'm sure, where he was struggling to get off of it. I'm like, oh God, he's gonna fall. Anyway, that happened. It was great. What a way to start it off. And it really was a pretty good show overall. Some of the other highlights, Britt Baker, Toni Storm. I don't know. I didn't think that was the greatest. What about you?
I thought it was all right. So I actually, when I first started watching AEW, there were people that I didn't like. I didn't like Britt Baker at all. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't like her. And I'm not a woman hater at all. I love all the women wrestlers. I just didn't particularly like her or her style. But now, I don't know, ever since we talked about it, ever since she lost the title, I'm kind of like, I really like her. I really just like her wit that she has and just how she presents herself. Like it's really cool. I've changed my mind about a lot of people.
I like both of them individually. I did not think it was a great match, I guess is what I say. I do like Britt Baker a lot. By the way, Britt Baker flew in to do Dynamite, flew back to be a dentist on Thursday, then flew back to do Rampage and the pay-per-view for Friday and Sunday.
And she struggled to get into Dynamite.
She kept getting delayed.
3 different flights she had to try and book.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So she's, as far as a workhorse, man, top notch.
She's pretty awesome. More big matches. We got 3 to go, so I'll just kind of go through this pretty quickly here, and we'll go on to the next one. Eddie and Mox faced Private Party. It was a pretty decent match. We got to see Mox come through the crowd for the first time. More on that later on Sunday. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit different experience.
Anarchy.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Swerve, Jungle Boy, Ricky Starks. I thought this was great.
That was really good.
I think Swerve is going to be a superstar if he's not already.
He's one that I didn't like when he first. I was like, ugh, I don't like him. I just immediately am like, either I like him or I don't like him, and I didn't like him.
Mm-hmm.
And he has kind of grown on me. He can work it. Like, he's for his size, he's very pliable, he can fly, he can do moves, he can jump off ropes, he can do all of that stuff, even though he's incredibly tall.
He is. We actually followed him on the way out through the casino, and he's a big guy, but he was awesome in this. He won the match. Yeah, he can definitely move. Mm-hmm. Jungle Boy was good. He's always pretty solid.
I like Jungle Boy.
Yeah, you kind of know what you're going to get out of him. Solid. Mm-hmm. I think Ricky Starks is the other one, just a superstar.
I didn't like him at first either, and I've come around to really like. He's just funny. His facial expressions, like some of those things, like they only work with certain people, right? So somebody else tries it, and you're like, that's stupid. Yeah. But with him, it just works for him. Like,
it's awesome.
His exaggerated style. I love it.
He's a star. The main event was Samoa Joe, Kyle O'Reilly. It was good. You know, I don't think it was anything to write home about. It was okay though. It was solid.
I'm not a huge fan of Samoa Joe. Looks so nice. Such a nice guy.
He was very nice, but you don't like him.
I'm not a really big fan. Although he has impressed me in the last couple. Kyle O'Reilly, I don't like the way he moves. I don't know.
I like them both,
but I think he's great in the ring. So
yeah, it was good. It was good. It was good, solid match.
Yeah.
So that brings us first up. That's the first one you ever been to. It was Wednesday Night Dynamite. I don't think it was the best Dynamite we ever saw, but it was solid. Good. It was solid, really solid. That brings us to Friday. This was a pleasant surprise. So Friday is the Rampage show. If you don't watch it very often, it's kind of the B show. Dynamite's the A, Rampage is the B.
It's short. It's only an hour.
So I kind of knew going into this one, my expectations weren't high. It's Rampage, right? And I knew they're going to do a lot of dark taping, and you would probably hate that. So
I don't watch dark.
So that's sad. But my expectations were low. This was a great show, I thought. It opens up with Bryan Danielson, Matt Sydal. I think that may have been the best match we saw all week.
That was such a good match.
So
it was like one of those sneaky, surprising ones.
So
like,
good.
You're like, holy shit. Like, you actually thought he might win.
That was why it was so
Or
good.
I did, at least.
I mean, you knew Bryan Danielson was going to win.
But I'm like, sometimes they got to throw in a surprise.
They had two, false finishes for Matt Sydal. And the second one, we looked at each other like, I literally thought he was going to pin him. I mean, but that is what, to me, everybody likes different styles of wrestling. That's the kind of match that I love.
I'm not, everybody's chanting, bring out the ladder.
No.
Of those. I'm not a ladder person. I'm not a table person. I'm not any bleed. Don't cut your face. I don't want to see you bleeding. I don't want to see it.
The blood doesn't bother me. The tables and ladders and shit. I mean, I don't hate it, but it's not 100% for me.
Scares me.
Danielson, Sydal, two guys. It looks like an athletic contest. It's close. It's both these guys are hitting all their moves. I mean, that was a great match. And so no matter what happened after that, I thought, wow, that was really something. That's the best really match we've seen yet. They did Dante, Max Caster next. Listen, these acclaimed guys.
I love them to come out because I love to listen to their raps.
These guys are so over. And they're with the Ass Boys now, and it's incredible.
I just think it's funny. So I'm not a really, in terms of the style of wrestling that the Ass Boys have, or the Gun Club, it's a little over exaggerated for me, but putting those two together. So the Acclaimed was some people that I didn't really like. At first I was like, I don't know if I like them. Because I'm like, he just yells all the time and they scissor. It's weird. But no, I'm not doing it. I still can't. But I'm sorry. But it's, I've really come to like them. And I think that combo is just, it's so fun.
It's fun. Yeah. I know. It's a fun combo. Billy Gunn's pretty good with them as well. With Dante, he works his match. You know what you're going to get out of him. Yeah. And it was a good match. And Dante, Max Caster, about what you thought. It was solid. It got the crowd into it. Then, so the advertised match was the Young Bucks versus nobody, basically. We didn't even know who they were going to wrestle. So they bring in two idiots, basically out of the crowd, and what it felt like. It was actually, one of them was, as you later pointed out, was Serpentico without a mask.
Yeah!
So if you watch Dark, Serpentico's on all the time. Well, he wrestled in this match just without a mask. I don't know what they called him.
Cruz, I think.
I thought it was John Cruz. John Cruz, I think, yeah. Anyway.
I think he's had both of those.
So these two jobbers come out, and it's like the Young Bucks versus these two, and we've talked about it. The Young Bucks are really good, but sometimes when they go up against guys like this, it's really bad. You can tell they don't care. But this was a pleasant surprise. The Hardy Boys music blares, and the Young Bucks are dressed as the Hardys, and made fun of them the whole match. This was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. They did such a good job. It was so freaking funny to watch these
And the
guys.
Young Bucks are ones that I wasn't a fan of when I first started. I'm like, gosh, they're too showy. They're too exaggerated. And I've come to really, I mean, they're good wrestlers. When they get in with some good people, they're really good wrestlers.
Yep. And when they take it serious, they're good. And I was really afraid they wouldn't take this serious. They didn't, but it was actually good because it was the Hardy Boys. And it was so funny.
It was so good.
And then to end it, it was Ruby, Chris Statlander. I thought this was amazing. Chris Statlander looks so good in this. I think she's the next big star. They need to push her that way.
That was my most disappointing finish of the whole thing because Chris looked so good. She's so strong. And, I mean, the crowd, I feel like, agreed. The boos were
bad.
I'm not a fan of that. I would never boo anybody, but, man, the boos were intense when Ruby was breathlessly talking to Britt Baker.
The boos were intense, so everybody wanted Chris to win. Chris clearly looked like the better competitor here, and what Chris Statlander has is what a lot of AEW women's wrestlers don't have. Not all, but a lot. Power. She can do a lot of powerful looking moves.
She's strong. She's capable.
And you got little Ruby in there. And it's like she's throwing her around like ragdoll. And so Chris Statlander hits her finishing move, and everybody in that building was like, they're going to let Chris Statlander win this, and that is going to be a great match with Britt Baker, who she was going to face at the pay-per-view, the winner of this.
Yeah.
Ruby kicks out. Everybody's pissed. And from that moment on, I think everybody knew Ruby's going to win this match, and we hate it. And so they boo on the kick out. They boo when Ruby beats her. And then when Ruby got the mic, they really booed. So it was crazy to see that happen. But Chris Statlander is one they better do something
I really like her.
Yeah.
Well, and I thought she was going to win because her promo. It got me so hard. I was like, she needs to win this. She's been here since the start. It's like she needs something. She has nothing. Like she said, I have nothing to show for. I'm like, this is it. Like,
This was a situation where I think everybody thought, in AEW thought Ruby was going to go over, and that promo started it. And then when they got in that ring, and Chris looked so good, everybody was like, no, I think we want Chris to win. Even though Ruby's still over. But that night, it was wild, and that's something you don't see often.
Yeah.
Where the fans kind of fooled the people in the back a little bit with that one. So I thought that was fun, though.
That was great.
I thought that was fun.
It was a great Rampage. And they did a bunch of darks, which they brought out some crazy people like Darby came out. We were really nervous that Darby wasn't even going to show because he wasn't in any. Yeah. He was in no, like, before we went to Vegas, before we flew out, he wasn't in any of the matches. And I was like, I'm not going to see my guy. Like, oh no.
Yeah, they did some fun stuff, though, in the dark.
Yeah,
a little bit better.
Darby, Jamie Hayter, like, a bunch of those people came out to do some dark matches, which was really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a better dark than usual, for sure. And that was good because I was worried about you. Because it's like, oh gosh.
Because it was like extra bonus. And I'm like, I'll go.
You're going to bring in freaking Serpentico and Luther, and you're going to hate this.
Oh, man, I couldn't have handled that. I would have had to gone to the bathroom.
So, yeah, I wouldn't believe it. Really good Dynamite, really good Rampage. Sunday's the main event. So I would say 5,000-6,000 people maybe in the building for the Rampage Dynamite shows.
I don't know. I'm really bad at that.
Maybe 4 to 5. It was a good crowd, but it was a lighter crowd than I expected. So the big show Sunday is at T-Mobile, where the Vegas Knights play. This was nuts. This place, you couldn't get a ticket. It was jammed. There was not an empty seat in that place.
I mean, an hour prior, there was a huge line to get in. Thankfully, we got there fairly early.
The atmosphere outside. It was like, wow, this is totally different. It was awesome. The biggest event I've ever been to, and in wrestling, I should say. And the crowd was great because this thing was long.
And it was really long.
They didn't. There was one lull, and I'll talk about that in a second. We'll just start it off. Amazing crowd. Really, I thought we had good enough seats for sure.
Very cool. Like they had in these sections, they had like these. Oh, was it Bud Light?
Yeah, the Bud Light lounge. Yeah,
like the lounges to where you could actually like. It was just a really cool setup. I thought our view was great.
It was a good view. The only difference is when it's a bigger stadium, you're not as close as to the ring because it's a bigger floor, and so therefore, it's easy to explain there. You're a little bit further away, but anyway, really good seat. Really pumped. We were kind of on the ring post, but on the ramp side, which is where I kind of wanted to be. Got to see all of them come down and everything, but this thing started out exactly how I wanted. All week, I was waiting for Hookhausen versus Tony Nese and Mark Sterling. Listen, I don't love comedy matches when they should be serious, but when a comedy match looks like a comedy match on paper, that's what I want. This guy Danhausen and this guy Hook, they're so over with these people.
So it's funny.
And me.
Because I love Hook, and I've loved Hook since the start. I'm like, let's see Hook every week. I want to see him every week. He's just so... I mean, he's also really powerful. I mean, it's awesome. Just like on point with all of his moves. Like, of course, I mean, he's Taz's son. Why wouldn't he be?
The human suplex machine Taz has another one. His child is a human suplex machine. But anyway.
And so Danhausen is Aaron's favorite.
Well, don't say it like that. He probably is, but okay, he is. Go ahead.
Well, Aaron loves Danhausen.
He's my favorite entertainer.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
I
love Dan. I had my Danhausen shirt.
He loves it.
You had your Hook shirt.
I had my Hook shirt.
We were Hookhausen. Anyway.
We were. Somebody mentioned it, and I was like, yes, that's exactly what we were going for.
Yeah.
Danhausen, when he first came out, I was like, stop, don't talk to me about it. He's just like, he's not a wrestler. He's not a wrestler.
You hate it.
He's not a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
He had some good moves in this.
I
was surprised because that original Tony Nese one was very disappointing.
It was like 20 seconds.
Well, yeah.
Well, they just
and I'm like, he didn't even let him do a move. Like they didn't even let him look like a wrestler. He just looked like a little bird. He's Hook's little bird. Is what I call him. That Hook's taken care of because Aaron's like, don't you eventually think they may break up? And I'm like, no, I don't think he'll ever turn on him because he's taking care of his little baby bird. But that was a good match overall.
It was fun. Now, of course, Hook goes in and just squashes everybody and then tags in Danhausen, and Danhausen gets the pin on Mark Sterling. It was great.
Yeah.
Like I said, these guys, what a great way to get the crowd going. I thought, I really think Hook could punch a baby and people would cheer. Like, he is so over right now. It's unbelievable. And Danhausen is too. People love these guys. And the total opposite, I don't know where it's going. I know some, like Jim Cornette, we listen to him a lot. He hates this. I like it.
I liked it.
I know Hook's supposed to be serious, and Danhausen is what he is. But it just makes sense. When Hook was over in the corner, like doing his whole brooding thing, getting ready, and Danhausen like goes and spirals next to him. I love that kind of stuff. It just killed me. So
it's just entertaining. It is.
It is. And like I said, Hook can do anything. I mean, they're bringing him along really slowly, but he's got superstar written all over him, I think. I mean, he's awesome.
Oh, 100%.
And Danhausen is kind of just their mascot, in a way. So that was good. That was on the buy-in. You actually watch that on YouTube for free if you haven't already. And it's, like I said, don't expect a wrestling exhibition. Well, unless Hook's in the ring. Then you maybe. But just comedy, kind of a fun way. Everybody's excited. So now we get to the actual pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. And we haven't even addressed MJF, right? So MJF, the rumors are swirling. He no show to FanFest. He, did not. There was a rumor that there was a plane booked and he was leaving. I think that was total BS. I think they made that up. But we did not know if he was going to be there.
Right. That's been talked about. Everybody's already talked about that. Mm-hmm. Whether or not he was going to show up, we were unsure at the moment. We're like, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And we waited. And waited and waited as his music's playing. You're like, holy crap, is he going to come out or is he not going to come out?
It was what?
It felt like a lot longer than it probably was.
I don't know.
But I was like...
It was pretty long.
How many can you go through before this guy steps out?
So, like I said, when we get there, we get to our seat. That's all anybody's talking about. Is MJF going to show up? So when you play that music, it keeps going and going. That tension is building.
Yeah.
And that place went nuts when this guy walked through that tunnel. they went ape shit. Mostly booze, but that's what you want. That's what he's trying to do in this situation. He's there. I was relieved more than anything else.
Yes.
Because I wanted Wardlow to smash him, and I didn't want Wardlow to have like a replacement opponent. And as the longer that music went, I thought that's what it's going to be.
Well, and I mean, everything you hear of him is that he's super professional. So you're like, he's got to show. He's going to show for a pay-per-view. A fan fest, that sucks. That's a little bit different than a pay-per-view. I'm sorry. It just is. Like, should you skip out on your fan fest? Absolutely not.
No.
We don't know what was behind that. We don't. There's only speculation.
Can't know if it was him. Can't know if it was.
Can't know. I mean, because they were like, "Oh, he's getting on a plane," and you're like, "Well, maybe somebody in his family died." You don't know. Like, you don't know those things, so it's just speculation. But to have him come out, that was a relief.
It was awesome. We were worried. He came out. Like I said, this guy is so over with these fans, and in his way, the heel way. Like, they hate him. They were booing him. They were chanting. You showed up. They were chanting, you effed up. I mean, it was wild. This whole match was... Oh, yeah, asshole. I mean, this match was constant noise. Either booing him or cheering Wardlow. Wardlow comes out and just squashes him. 10 power bombs. Everybody's chanting 10. He got to 5. Everybody, 10. And so that whole thing, it felt like pandemonium for however long this lasted. Didn't it?
Yeah.
Weren't you just like, we just got this Hook Danhausen thing, and everybody's fired up, and then they start with this, and this place is just going out of
You're like, how can it get better?
Minds. I know, and it didn't for a while. I think after that, this was great.
A little lull.
Yeah, it was a lull. I thought they did everything perfect. I'm not going to get in, well, unless you want to, but the whole MJF thing, I don't know what's true and what's not. No, so I'm not going to get into speculation.
Yeah.
My guess is.
I'm not about that.
I mean, my guess is it's a lot. It may all be a work, right?
Now you're speculating.
Yeah, now I'm speculating. You're right, and I said I wasn't going to do that. Other matches on this show. By the way, this is a long show. It was too long. It really was. It
was 13 matches, right?
Yeah, I really liked the Death Triangle House of Black match.
Yep,
I thought that was fantastic.
We knew Julia Hart would pop out, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't. I knew that when the lights went out, I knew she was coming. Not when the match started, maybe not.
There was like a 1% of Aaron that wanted Rhea Ripley to be there.
So dumb. See, and
I would have loved that too.
That's the dumb wrestling fan coming out. I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Right.
When the lights went out, I thought
that doesn't mean
it's
you
Rhea.
don't want it.
And then I thought it's not Rhea. That's stupid. Don't say that.
It's Julia.
I thought that was great, though. I thought it was a good match.
It was a good match.
I thought it was a very, very good match. I thought they worked really hard in that match to make it good. And Death Triangle, they're great. They can do anything. These Lucha Brothers, they had another great match. We're not going to talk about it at length, but with the Young Bucks on Rampage this week, they can do anything. And they're high flyers. It was fantastic. You had the Jade and Anna Jay thing. Yeah, it is what it is.
I wasn't. It was what it was.
Yeah. Like I said, not going to go through all of them, but like Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb. I know you didn't like it very much, but it was a good match as far as how they worked.
I'm not a big fan of Serena Deeb. No. Just overall, no reason. I'm not. But that surprised me a bit how good that was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was
good.
That
surprised me how good that was. Most disappointing ending
was
FTR.
No, that was the Wednesday night show.
Oh, never mind.
Wednesday night FTR.
I'm like, you gotta start.
I know.
I get so confused with when
FTR Roppongi Vice had a great match on Wednesday and it got interfered with randomly. Stupid.
Overall, most disappointing match.
Was that?
Ending.
Yes, was that one.
Sorry.
Young Bucks Hardys. What do you think of that?
I was terrified the entire time that Jeff was going to die.
Yeah.
Every time he gets in the ring, I'm like, this is going to be the time I see a wrestler die. I always get very nervous. His boot undid. Mm-hmm. Now he's injured. He is my absolute favorite. On promos, I don't know, I just like him, and I like his vibrance with the crowd. Like, he just goes into the crowd and he gives everybody around the ring a high five. Like, just his presence is really freaking awesome. I just wish he was like 10 years younger. Erin says I would have loved him.
Well, she loves Darby Allin. Jeff Hardy, Darby Allin remind me a lot of each other. And unfortunately, that's what happens to older wrestlers when they have that kind of wrestling style. They're going to get banged up when they get older. Things are going to hurt. I'm not a huge. I went into this week not a huge fan of the Young Bucks. I don't dislike them, but it's just like I think people overrate them a little bit. After this week, I'm not sure because
I agree.
They worked their ass off to give these two old guys a good match, and I think
it was a good
they
match.
did. Yeah, I think they accomplished it. So kudos to them. I thought this was a really good job by them. The Hardys are what they are at this point. I don't know how much more you want to say. I mean, they're great. They're stars. People are happy they're there, but they can't do the things they used to do, and that's what made the Hardys the Hardys. Like I said, we'll skip over a few things. The Darby, O'Reilly match was good, but the finish was weird.
Why?
So this thing was starting. The crowd never lost interest, but we were starting to fade. Mm-hmm. And then anarchy in the arena happened, and that place went ape shit for this. Mm-hmm. This was wild. So Jericho Appreciation Society comes in the ring. Hate everything about that.
The wizard.
I can't. Chris Jericho. Oh my God, he has mental issues, I think. But this Blackpool Combat Club and of course Eddie, they're so over. They come out through the crowd. Moxley comes right by us. And I'm not like this big Moxley guy. I'm really not. I like him, but I'm not like a huge fan of his.
Yeah.
For this kind of thing, it was great. But this crowd was starting to kind of go down, and then this happened. They play the song twice. People are going nuts while they're playing the song.
So I will say this is one of those matches that if we were at home watching it on our TV, I would have gotten up to do something, or I would have left, or I would have not really paid, like scroll Instagram, whatever you're gonna do, like outside of actually truly like being engaged in this match, because it's one of those that's like all over the place. There's blood, there's mustard, there's like, it's so insane. They're everywhere. You can't see them when they're outside. You can on the TV, so that might have been a little bit better, but like having it in the arena made a little more sense because they're all coming from different angles. You can see them all like in the ring. Still not my favorite. Better in person than it is on TV, but those are probably my least favorite. The ones that are outside of the ring are my least favorite matches.
I totally agree. But being there live and the point of the show where it was, they needed something. That
brought the crowd up.
People
were able to touch the wrestlers and get
just
landed on by them or whatever it was.
Everybody was just looking around like, can you believe this?
I'm like, Danielson's over there like throwing a guy into the chairs. Like,
where are they? It was.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I've seen a lot of people like, match of the year. It's like, no, that's not for me. But it was very much needed. It was perfectly placed. And for what it was unbelievable.
But for a lot of fans, like those are their favorite. They
Absolutely,
love ladders,
that's fine.
They love chairs. They love all of that. I'm not a fan. Don't bring out a barbed wire table. That doesn't make I'm like, you're gonna cut your artery. Like, I'm like,
well,
that's not for me.
It's not, but it was awesome.
But it hyped you up.
It was.
It did its job.
It did. It was great. And how they did it was really, really good. And Jericho's Appreciation Society wins. I don't think they really cared who won. It was just, wow, this was wild. And the funniest thing about it, we both like at the same time looked at each other like, where is Eddie? Like, where did he go? And then he's got blood everywhere. He's got a gas can. He's walking down to the ring. I'm like, oh my God.
Like at that point, like, I don't know if you were able to see Eddie's promo for that.
People probably saw
it. It gets really like, it's almost like too dark for me personally. I'm like, okay, we're going a little extreme here, throwing fireballs at people and pouring gasoline on people. Like, let's just wrestle. Like, let's just wrestle. This isn't a street fight. Like, I mean, I guess it is, but
this Chris Jericho, good Lord. It's funny when he wrestled Eddie at the last pay-per-view. I thought finally Chris Jericho's doing some stuff that it's like it's fun and like he's got back in shape and it was a really good match. And then this is how they countered. I mean, this is just bad.
Anyway,
I can't go on with him. All right, the tag team championship 3-way match. This was fantastic. This is my favorite match on the card. All three of these teams were super, super good here. All three, the fans love these guys, and they put on a fantastic match. I knew they would, and that didn't disappoint. What do you think?
I really liked it. I actually was like, going into it, I kind of thought, I think it's time for that belt to switch hands.
Yeah.
Because Jungle Boy isn't exactly the best like at promos and stuff like that. And I think that's, he has said himself, right, that he doesn't like to speak in front of the camera. I think that's something that's been documented. But with them winning it, I was actually happy they won it. Like, I thought they deserved it.
By the end of the match, I didn't care who won.
Right. It was just so good. Like, it was like, okay, that makes sense. Anything would have made sense. Yeah,
no, I agree. We stood up a lot for this pay-per-view, up and down, but I literally jumped out of my seat when Stark speared Jungle Boy, and because I thought they're going to win. They're going to give it to him, and I became such a huge fan of Powerhouse Hobbs over the weekend, over the week, I should say, just how nice he was. I actually got to speak to him once.
That was really...
No, I didn't. I said more. I said hi to him once, and I patted him on the back and said a great job after this match back at the hotel. So I love Powerhouse Hobbs, and I love Ricky Starks, and man, I thought they were going to do it, but it was okay. I was totally fine with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. It was a great match. Like I said, it was one of my favorites. That led to the main event. CM Punk wins the world title. We're going to do a whole nother show about what's happened afterwards, but let's just stick to the match for now. I thought it was a great match. What do you think?
I thought it was pretty good. So when CM Punk came on, I didn't know who CM. So I'm within the last year wrestling.
Yeah, if that.
To be real honest, I haven't even watched it fully for a year, and been a true fan, like actually converted, like, okay, I'm not just making fun of this is something that I actually truly enjoy, and I'm gonna admit it.
Right.
So when CM Punk, when they signed him, I was like, who is this guy? And like, they would come out and there would be a love fest of CM Punk and a love fest of CM Punk, and he's not wrestling, and he's just out there getting all the love, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I don't even like him.
Right.
Well, people probably hate me for that.
There goes all our viewers. No, but it's honestly,
but it's just
you aren't caught up in the mystique of this guy.
Right.
You're judging just off what he's
so doing. Over time, I'm like, okay, like starting to like him a little bit more. I do think he's he's an older wrestler. I don't think he can do quite as much as some of the younger guys do. I think it was a struggle. That buckshot lariat was really hard to watch.
That was the worst thing. Yeah.
It's nice that after the match was over, I'm glad he won. I would have been okay with either. I'm not a fan of Adam Page either.
So I was going to ask you that before you go on. The crowd was a split 50-50. It was constant noise the whole time because it really was a 50-50 split crowd. And that makes me think a lot of people are like you in the fact that, sure, he's still CM Punk, but he's not AEW. Like, Adam Page is our AEW guy, and I don't care what he did in the past. So who were you rooting for in this match?
I actually didn't really have it. So normally I didn't I wasn't a fan of like Adam Page's cowboy thing. I'm not. He's a really good wrestler though. I just think he needs to cut his hair, and I think he needs to lose the cowboy act. I think he's a really great wrestler. So I thought going into that though, nothing had changed hands either. So you're like, something's got to change hands. So I didn't really care who won that one, to be honest. Like, it was, I think a lot of the crowd was the same way. Like, they would cheer for both. It wasn't 50-50 split. It was like 100% for both guys. Like,
during the match, it was a 50-50, and then whoever won, they were all going to cheer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How'd you like the match?
I loved it. The buckshot misses by Punk knocked it down a ring.
So after the show, he gets on the mic, and FTR comes out and hugs him. Yeah. And he was like, just tell me never to try a buckshot lariat ever again. So, and then this last pastime that we're going to talk about, he also was like, sorry, like missing his spots. But it's weird because he's been, he missed those two and then he misses one. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe age might be catching up with him just a little bit. Yeah. Maybe just don't try some of that stuff because
he's a slower wrestler overall. So he's only 43. I looked it up. He's only 43. Yeah. And like Christian Cage, who's 47, I feel like moves at a little bit faster of a pace when he was in that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Tag. Bryan Danielson kind of moves a little faster too. Around the same age, I think.
I could be wrong on ages. Don't fact check me. But yeah, he's just a little bit slower, and I'm always not. I always hate the beginning of wrestling matches because they're very slow. And then Aaron's like, Heather, it's a build up. Come on. And then eventually I end up liking it, but always at the start I'm like,
yeah,
this is a snooze fest. And he's like, no, that's how they start.
This is how you work up to it.
Yes,
yeah,
but
I think CM Punk is probably the best worker in the world. I still think that, even though he missed those moves, he's still the way he can get the best out of his opponent at any time. Like they threw him there against Penta like a month ago, and it's like, oh, this is going to be weird. It was fantastic. You know, like no matter who they put him in with, he does a great job. I call him the magician. He's the real wizard.
And he's good on the mic.
He's great on the mic, and I just think he's a great worker. And other than the 2 missed spots, I thought this was excellent. You know, a lot of false finishes, a lot of, oh my gosh, I don't know who's going to win. It truly felt like a toss-up, and that's how you want for your main event.
Those are the most fun.
Yeah.
Who's actually going to win? Like, holy shit, it could go
and you
way.
could make logical cases for either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like, I wasn't going to be mad one way or the other. I kind of wanted Punk to win it. You know, as far as Paige, it kind of makes me sick how they've done him. Mm-hmm. I think he's one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen as far as in-ring work.
He's got good size. Like, I was actually really surprised at how he stood up against other wrestlers, like height-wise, build-wise. Like, because alone, when you look at him, it looks a little smaller, I think.
Yeah.
But he's not.
His matches with like Bryan Danielson, fantastic. Like he's a great worker. I think he can do a lot of stuff. I hate his gimmick. He doesn't need to be Jon Moxley. There's only one Jon Moxley, right? But that's the kind of attitude he needs to have. An ass kicker like attitude. And for 90% of the run, he was this scared, anxious millennial cowboy. It's not working for me.
No.
It's just not.
I'm like, he needs a haircut like Thor in Ragnarok.
Okay.
Come back out.
I don't know about that, but okay.
Come back out. Be a badass.
He needs to be a badass. If they sold him like that, I think it would work. But it's like, before this, he was a drunk and he's sad, and now it's this. And it's just like, why don't you just let this guy who wrestles like a badass, when he gets in the ring, he really wrestles like he's an ass kicker. Why don't you just let him be an ass kicker? Mm-hmm. It's not like that's not over. People like that. So I don't know what they did. I think it kind of ruined his title reign that was, other than just he's weird, it was good. Like, this guy's really, really good. He's one of my favorites. I don't want to sound like I'm bashing him specifically, because I'm not. He's one of my favorite guys in there, but I hate this gimmick. Maybe he comes back and he's all pissed off and it's what we want it to be. I don't know. But I don't know. I saw anxious millennial cowboy shirts, so maybe they like that. I don't know. It's not for me.
Yeah. So overall trip?
10 out of 10. You?
10 out of 10.
All right. Well,
so I don't think we will have, so I was talking to Aaron about this. I don't think we will have, this was one of our favorite trips of all time, just because there was so much to do, so much outside of wrestling that we could do. Like, it was just great overall. And the fact that they were so accessible, I don't think that you would get this at any other show.
No, you wouldn't.
I really don't. So I'm like, oh, we're going to have to come back next year and not go to any other shows, because I don't think it will be as good. I just don't think it will stand up to this.
Yeah, Tony Khan said that the Vegas thing, Double or Nothing, that's where he always wants to have it.
He wants to have it forever there.
Hopefully they have, he screamed it.
I love him. He's so excited.
He's on something good, I think. But he is awesome. I agree. A little scattered. Anyway, so if they have that, we're going every year, right?
Yep.
Okay, you heard it here. She can't back out. All right, guys, any final thoughts before we close this one out?
I don't really have anything. I'm just
we got a lot in on that one.
Yeah, proud to be a wrestling fan.
Wow, words I never thought I would hear. All right, guys, we're gonna get off here. We've done we've done 3 videos. So if you watch this one, you liked it, we got a couple more. One introducing Heather, kind of herself in general to the channel, and then her background of wrestling, how she got started in it. And then we'll have another one about CM Punk and what's going to happen now that he's injured, and the title and all of that mess. So if you like this one, make sure to check out those 2 as well. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.